Nebraska State Senator Megan Hunt, self-professed bi queen, says that gun ownership is not a natural right, but a right given by America's, quote, slave-owning, misogynistic founders. She tweeted, "Owning a gun isn't a God-given right. It's a slave-owning, misogynistic founding father-given right. I'm not against 2A, but be real, the Constitution was written by people. Today I'm filibustering a bill that would allow concealed carry without training or a permit." So she's not against the Second Amendment, she's just against the Second Amendment. Typical politician. But I wonder if she'd say the same thing about the First Amendment, or Fourth. Nah, I'd better not give her any ideas. She's apparently trying to say that the law, which is just constitutional carry, would allow white supremacists to oppress black people. It apparently hasn't even occurred to her that this law would also allow black people to go armed in their own defense. Because as Martin Luther King himself experienced, gun control laws are there in large part to prevent blacks from carrying guns. I have several videos on this. It's not the slave owners who passed the Second Amendment. They're the ones who passed gun control because they didn't want people arming slaves so they could rebel. In fact, those laws were being passed before the Constitution, back in the 1600s, and they're a big reason for the Second Amendment. And after the Civil War, they still didn't want blacks being armed. The civil rights movement was as much a movement about blacks being denied their right to carry a gun as it was their right to sit at a breakfast counter, if not more so. But people like Hunt don't see black people as capable individuals who just need empowerment. Like the rest of the woke left, she sees blacks as helpless little children who need government to coddle and support them. And her only use for them is to leech off their victim status to oppose whatever it is she doesn't like, facts and history be damned. Several of the Twitterati schooled her on this, such as Dana Loesch, who tweeted, "Gun control is racist. Free men and women were barred from their constitutional rights by people just like this beyond parody political. I had to laugh at the misogynistic being tossed in. Women had the right to bear arms before we won the right to vote, so nah, girl. If you're really not racist, you would advocate constitutional carry, because it's poor and marginalized communities who stand to benefit the most from it." Listen to Hunt's response, quote, "Girl, spare me. Your NRA holds rallies every time a mass shooting happens. You fundraise at the scene of the crime as soon as the corpses of the dead are taken away. Where was your NRA for Philandro Castile when he was shot by police as a legal gun owner? Be serious." Latinos for Lib tweeted, "Guns are a creation of men who choose to protect their property and loved ones against aggressors seeking to do harm. Of course it's God-given. The founders only acknowledge this self-evident truth. Indeed, that's why the amendment says shall not be infringed instead of is hereby granted. But basic reading skills seem to be beyond the mental capacity of people like Hunt." MCon Delta echoed the statement, tweeting, "Nah, you're way wrong. The founders nor the Constitution gave us rights. The rights pre-exist governments, and governments can only infringe on those rights. Murder is already illegal. Why do you favor restricting the ability of people to carry defensive tools, especially women?" In fact, I showed years ago in a video a peer-reviewed scientific paper showing that when women used a gun to defend themselves from a rapist, none of the rapes were successful and none of the women were injured. That was not the case with any other tactic or weapon used against the rapist. Nebraska state law currently requires Nebraskans to take a gun training course and secure a permit before they can carry a concealed firearm. Guess who's less able to afford the gun training course and take time off to take it and pursue the permit? State Senator Julie Slama said, quote, "Did I miss somewhere when I was reading the Second Amendment? It's very short, where we are required to pay $200 and take a class to exercise those rights." But again, all of this makes perfect sense when you remember that the progressive movement is an offshoot of the eugenics movement. It's amazing how much that explains.